The wind was a torrent of darkness among the ghastly trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon the cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor. A highwayman came riding, riding, riding. Highwayman came riding up to the olden door. He had a French cocked hat on his forehead, a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of cleric velvet, and breeches of brown doe skin. The feet were never wrinkled, his boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a tune and a twinkle, his pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle under the jeweled sky. And over cobbles he clattered and clashed in the darkened yard, and he tapped with his whip on the shutters when all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. One kiss, my bonny sweetheart, I'm after a prize tonight, and I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet ye press me sharply and harry me through the day. Then look for me by the moonlight, watch for me by the moonlight. I'll come to thee by the moonlight, though hell should bar the way. He rose upright in his stirrups, he scarce could reach a hand, but he loosened a hair in the casement, his face burned like a brand, as a black cascade of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed its waves in the moonlight, oh sweet waves in the moonlight, tugged at its rein in the moonlight, and galloped away to the west. He did not come at the dawning, he did not come at noon, and out of the tawny sunset before the rise of the moon, when the road was a gypsy's ribbon, looping the purple moor, a red-coat troop came marching, marching, marching. King George's men came marching up to the olden door. They said no word to the landlord, they drank his ale instead, but they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of a narrow bed. Two then knelt at a casement with muskets at their side. There was death at every window, hell at one dark window. The Bess could see through the casement the road that he would ride. They had tied her up to attention with many a sniggering jest. They had bound a musket beside her with a barrel beneath her breast. Now keep good watch, and they kissed her. She heard the dead men say, look for me by the moonlight, watch for me by the moonlight. Come to thee by the moonlight, though hell should bar the way. She twisted her hands behind her, but all the knots held good. She writhed her hands till her fingers were wet with sweat and blood. She stretched and strained in the darkness, and the hours crawled by like years, till the knell on the stroke of midnight called on the stroke of midnight. The tip of a finger touched it, the trigger at least was hers. Toddle-a, till they heard it, the horse's hooves ring clear. Toddle-a, in the distance, the deaf they did not hear. Down the ribbon of moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The redcoats looked to the priming, she stood up straight and still. Toddle-a on the frosty silence, toddle-a on the echoing night. Nearer came and nearer, her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment, she drew one last deep breath. Then a finger moved in the moonlight, her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered a breast in the moonlight, and warned him with a death. She turned his spur to the west, he did not know she stood, but 'neath the head of a musket, drenched 'neath her own red blood. Not till the dawn he heard it, his face grew grey to hear. How bears the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, and watched for love in the moonlight, and died in the darkness there. And back he spurred like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky, with a white rope smoking behind him, and his rapier brandished high. Blood red were the spurs of the golden moon, wine red was his velvet coat. When they shot him down on the highway, down like a dog on the highway, and he lay in his blood on the highway, with a bunch of lace at his throat. Still on a winter's night, they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon the cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, a highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. A highwayman comes riding up to the olden door.